Do you ever feel like your brain is running a marathon while everyone else is just strolling? Like you're constantly bracing for the next sound, the next change, or the next social moment, while everyone else seems completely relaxed? Well, for many autistic people, anxiety isn't a passing feeling. It's an invisible storm happening under the surface every single day. Not because we're overreacting, but because we're navigating a world that's too loud, too bright, too unpredictable, and definitely not designed for our wiring. If you're exhausted from trying to keep up with a world that feels overwhelming at every turn, then this video is for you. Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, my name's Michelle and I'm an autistic woman raising 3 autistic kids with my ADHD husband. Before we get started, if I could please ask you to like, subscribe and tap that notification bell, as it really helps the channel and our community grow. All right, let's get into something that many of us know all too well, and that's autistic anxiety. Not the everyone gets a little stressed kind, not the just take a deep breath kind. I mean the deep, full body experience where your brain feels like it's doing a triathlon in a world that's barely jogging. The invisible weight, what autistic anxiety really feels like. Let's start with the truth. Autistic anxiety just hits differently. For a lot of neurotypical people, anxiety is usually tied to something obvious, an upcoming event, a confrontation, a big change. But for autistic people, sometimes it's just Tuesday, or a light bulb buzzing, or someone talking too loudly behind you, or plans changing by 5 minutes. It's stress, but supercharged. It's sensory overload when everything just becomes too much. Sounds feel like they're hitting your skin, lights hurt when they hit your eyes. Your clothes suddenly feel wrong even though they were fine 10 minutes ago. Your brain starts misfiring like a car that's overheating, and it's social masking burnout. That's where you've spent the entire day pretending to be relaxed, socially smooth and fine, even though your internal battery is gasping for air. Then you get home and you feel like you can't talk, can't move, and can't think. You're just done. And then there's the fear of the unknown, the thing that people underestimate the most. A sudden change in plans, an unexpected question, someone ringing the doorbell when you weren't expecting anyone. The world just throws things at you constantly, and your brain doesn't have the buffer to smoothly roll with it. When I was a teenager, I used to have panic attacks in shopping centres, and at the time, I had no idea what they were. No one around me knew either. Mental health just wasn't discussed the way it is now. And autism, especially in girls, was barely understood. I remember so clearly being in a shop holding something, and out of nowhere, my heart would start racing like I was being chased. My breathing would go all weird, like I couldn't get a full breath. My ears would ring, the lights would blur, and the sounds would mash together, and my whole body felt like it was about to collapse. And without even thinking, I would just drop whatever I was holding and bolt outside every single time. I genuinely felt like something terrible was happening inside of my body. And back then, it was terrifying because I didn't have the language for it. No one ever talked about sensory overload. No one talked about panic attacks. I just knew that the world felt too loud and too bright and too much. And I didn't know why. Now, as an adult, I can look back and go, oh, okay, that was sensory overwhelm. That was autistic anxiety long before I understood I was autistic. And so many autistic people have similar stories. Moments from childhood or teenage years where you felt too sensitive or overreactive, when in reality your nervous system was screaming and you just didn't have the words for it. And let's not forget about the internal monologue, the non-stop commentary that adds fuel to the fire. You're trying to function, but your brain is going, am I acting weird? Did I say that the right way? Why does that person look confused? Are they annoyed at me? Did I misread the mood? Should I leave? Should I stay? Am I being too quiet? Too much? What's the right amount of eye contact? Am I being rude? Too awkward? Why did I do that with my face? It's like your mind is running a diagnostic scan every second you're around people, and then doing a performance review immediately after. This is what autistic anxiety really feels like. It's invisible, it's misunderstood, and it's heavy. even when no one else sees it. Neurotypical expectations versus autistic reality, the clash. So, where does so much of this anxiety actually come from? A huge part of it is the clash between how autistic people operate and how the world expects us to operate. Social norms feel like landmines, unspoken rules, unwritten expectations, facial expressions you're supposed to decode like you're some sort of emotional detective. Meanwhile, you're just trying to understand actual words being said. Then we've got literal interpretations clashing with vague communication. Someone says, "Come over anytime." Now, they don't actually mean anytime, they mean sometime vaguely convenient, probably after asking first, and also don't stay too long. Why are there so many hidden caveats? Why can't people just say what they mean? And of course, there's the pressure to be neurotypical normal. Don't stim, don't be too honest, don't correct people, don't ask too many questions, don't get overwhelmed, don't be difficult. This leads to masking a survival strategy, yes, but one that comes at an enormous cost. Masking is basically performing a version of yourself that feels socially acceptable. It's like acting, except you never get to step off the stage. And that constant self-monitoring, well, it's exhausting, anxiety-inducing, and sometimes soul-crushing. Unpacking the why, common roots of autistic anxiety. Let's dig deeper into the reasons autistic anxiety is so common. There's the executive function challenges. This is where your brain struggles with planning, organizing, starting tasks, switching tasks, remembering details, all the stuff neurotypical brains often do automatically. For us, even simple things can feel like solving a logic puzzle. Where do I start? What's the order? What if I forget something? What if I get overwhelmed halfway through? Uncertainty breeds anxiety, and everyday life is full of uncertainty. Then there's the sensory processing differences. Autistic sensory systems are wired differently. Sometimes things are too loud, too bright, too strong, too sharp, too overwhelming. Other times things are too quiet, too dull, not enough stimulation, leaving you feeling restless and unanchored. And when your sensory world is unpredictable, your nervous system stays on alert. There's also the social processing differences. This misconception that we lack empathy. Well, honestly, most autistic people have deep empathy, but we don't automatically understand unspoken intentions or hidden messages. This makes social interactions feel like exams or trick questions, and after years of misunderstandings or feeling judged, anxiety becomes the body's natural response. Actionable strategies, tools for finding calm. Now let's get into what actually helps. Sensory regulation is supporting your nervous system, and we have all of these things in place in our household. Noise-cancelling headphones, weighted blankets, fidget tools, sensory corners, removing harsh lighting, sunglasses indoors, wearing soft, predictable clothing, and taking sensory breaks before overwhelm hits. You're not weak for needing these things, you're smart for knowing what actually works for you. And communication clarity is so important. You must advocate for yourself. Having these statements in your toolbox will help make communicating your needs a little easier. Statements like, "I need details before we make plans. I need time to process. I communicate literally. I can't handle loud environments. I need a break." And don't feel like you need to apologize for your needs. Neurotypical people aren't apologizing for theirs. Then there's the autism-friendly mindfulness. Forget the traditional stuff if it doesn't work for you. Try movement like rocking, pacing, or stretching. Weighted input, deep pressure, holding something with texture, temperature regulation, repetitive visuals, stimming intentionally. Mindfulness should feel grounding, not uncomfortable. Building your autistic anchor, thriving in your own lane. So how do we go about embracing our neurodiversity? Well, for starters, accepting that your brain isn't defective. It's different. And that difference brings incredible focus, creative thinking, pattern recognition, deep passion, loyalty, honesty, sensitivity, which is a strength, not a flaw. And it's also important to build your support system. Find the people who get you, online communities, autistic friends, supportive family members and allies, people who don't make you feel too much or too intense. And finally, what's your calm blueprint? This is your personalized anxiety toolkit. What are your sensory needs? Your triggers, your communication style, your meltdown, shutdown signs, your preferred routines, your anchors, and your safety strategies. It's not about changing yourself, it's about building a life that fits your brain. Thank you so much for spending this time with me today. Autistic anxiety is real, it's intense, and it's often completely invisible. But you are not alone in it. You're not broken, dramatic, or overreacting. You're existing in a world that wasn't built for your wiring, but you're learning how to build your own way through it. If you found this video helpful, validating, or comforting in any way, please remember to like, subscribe, and tap that notification bell. It truly supports the channel and helps our autistic community grow. Take care, be kind to your nervous system, and I'll see you in the next one.